Hello, everybody. Welcome to International Podcast Day 2018. We are very excited. Hopefully, you're out there either using or searching back at the hashtag International Podcast Day. So, I am actually really excited to have uh, Giorgio from Italy joining us today. How are you doing tonight?
It's great. Thank you so much. Here is not night, is it? Is just the morning. I am taking my coffee and I'm ready to start.
Yeah, you are set. But before I let you take the reins here, I did want to thank our 2018 International Podcast Day sponsors. You can learn more about them at internationalpodcastday.com/sponsors. Our platinum sponsor is Blueberry. They are a full service podcasting company providing podcast hosting, stats, advertising opportunities. You can find more at blueberry.com. Also, our great silver sponsors, Repurpose, which actually automatically converts your audio podcast into engaging videos and uploads them directly to YouTube. Repurpose.io, check them out. Also, Podcast Success Academy. They are teaching podcasters the skills that no one told them they needed to succeed. The Academy is resource packed and it is completely free for you to access. So make sure you go claim your free access at podcastsuccessacademy.com. Well, with that said, I don't want to take up any more time. I am really interested in hearing your talk about how to monetize your podcast in an underdeveloped podcast scene. Really looking forward to sort of your personal podcast, the story, and what sort of tips you have to offer us. So, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all the guys that are in the chat room and are looking for the live events on YouTube. Uh, I will try to share my screen so we can go deep inside the topic of today. Okay. Could you tell me in the chat room if you are able to see the slide and if it is working? So we can start immediately to talk about monetization. Okay, yes, that's great. So I don't know. I'm pretty sure that you don't know me. I am a podcaster. I did my first episode in November 2015. My show is talking about digital transformation, and it's almost everywhere, but it's an Italian podcast. So probably most of you are not able to understand Italian, so they are not really interested to discover this kind of podcast. Just to tell you who I am, my name is Giorgio. I live with my family where the Harrow is, so in northern Italy. And if you want to look around to my contact details, you can find them on the top right of this slide. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter, and especially on LinkedIn. I live in the countryside. I don't live in a big city in Italy. I live in a very small town that, by the way, has a pretty high concentration of podcaster because we are five or six in this small village called Bagnacavallo. It's an ancient town in Italy, around 16,000 inhabitants. So just to tell you that I am not the guy who lives in a big city. Why am I a podcaster? But it's simply I was passionate about radio. I have a pivot in my career, and I have to restart building my authority because I was buying services like the one I sell, and I have to make my audience, to sell my services. So it's just a very common story. The Italian podcast scenario is pretty underdeveloped. I mean, we are talking about 70 at maximum independent podcaster. I'm not talking about radio broadcasting. They publish a lot of stuff online, so they are able to reach a lot of people with the replica of the episode of their live show on the radio. But the podcasting scenario is pretty small. People are not used or are used just to listen to replica of certain really high polemics topic or shows like La Zanzara, that is a main talk show on radio about politics in Italy. And I think it's a common scenario in underdeveloped podcasting scenario. But My language, Italian, I'm sharing with you this chart, and this is the rank of the language in the world. So Italian is the 25th language, but it's spoken just from 64.8 million. I'm talking about just few countries like, of course, Italy, San Marino Republic, a part of Switzerland, Vatican City State that has not a very high potential audience, and Sovereign Order of Malta, that is a country without land, and it's a tiny and specific situation. So it, Italian is not a very popular languages. Uh, if you see this map, you can see in blue where Italian are able to talk in Italian. You can see the part of Switzerland, Italy, few ex-colony where I bet that there is not a huge number of people able to talk in Italian. Of course, Malta and Albania, because mostly of them are listening and are receiving the Italian TV broadcast signal, and place around the world in green where there are huge and very strong Italian community of migrants. So this is the scenario. Anyway, despite we are a tiny podcaster community, we have already our dissing between each other. So we are pretty normal, and this is pretty interesting. I am sure that you are thinking that Italian are like this because many TV show present us like Guidos or like this. Okay, we are not like this, frankly speaking. I will show you how. And I'm sure that when you think about Italy and the Italian scenario, you are imagine us eating spaghetti bolognese. I have to tell you that they doesn't exist in Italy. I know. It's a strong hit for you, but spaghetti bolognese in Italy doesn't exist. I don't know why you think about Italy looking to this, but we don't eat spaghetti bolognese. But Italy, despite all of this comedy, is not a tiny market. Anyway, is 61 million of inhabitants that purchase, that buy, that drink, then eat, then work. So it's not a small economy. Okay, this is a picture just for example. It's recent. President Trump said, I recommend investment in Italy. It's a great place with great people. Thank you so much, Mr. President. I know it's politician, but anyway, Italy is not an economy that is really undeveloped. We are at ninth place, so not bad at all. There are money running around. So how I can monetize my money? How I can have some cash flow entering inside my bank account from the podcast? This is the question I am thinking since the beginning. In fact, since the episode one, I start to enter an advertising inside the podcast. This is a suggestion that I want to highlight to everyone. If you want to monetize, and if you are at episode one, find a friend, a good friend that give you a few bucks, few dollars or few euro to put an advertising, a real advertising inside your content. Because if you add the advertising later on, your audience will be regret. They start to say, yes, you build your audience and now you are exploiting us. So since the beginning, I put an advertising inside my podcast. And this create also a little bit of um, mouth developing. So people are talking about this. Yeah, this is a newcomer. He is already has an advertiser. So people are talking. People are coming to see my show. Okay, money and podcasting is a possible marriage. Okay, yes, it is. It is. There are some prerequisites and there are ways to monetize that are pretty different. Of course, we are in love with those data. If you see the breakdown of John Lee Dumas, you are impressed. You see, I can become millionaire with my podcast, and it's amazing. You know, we are all warm up by this. And if you see Pat Flynn, yes, I can gain $11,000 making my passion. It's amazing. But by the way, Hernan Lopez, the CEO of Wondery, said the high-end scripted show needs to totally around 500,000 downloads per episode to make an economic sense. So it does mean that I am not able at all to reach those numbers. I am not able, and it's not possible because it's math telling. If I have 61 million, it's very, very difficult to put them all together to listen to my podcast. And it is very, very tough. So I have to find other ways. So forget those numbers. Forget those numbers if you want to make a podcast like I am doing in Italian. So maybe in English is okay, but it's not possible in Italy. So you have to assume this is an axioma. So uh, it's the game for the big guys. So little pistols like me are not able to make money with the podcast. Wins the one who lets more episode a week so they can run more advertising. Wins the one who has more follower on social media so they can put the affiliate link inside of their posts, or subscriber to the mailing list so you can sell info products. But it depends. The success depends from the goal you put on. But if your target is monetization, you have a lot of work to do before to monetize your podcast. And you have to be clever. Podcasting behaves like other types of content, and content marketing is worldwide well known. So it might inspire, educate, inform, or entertain a specific audience. I mean, all the rest is pretty well known, but the a specific audience, only few in podcasting are aware about this. Specific audience, what does mean? It does mean that you have a value proposition and you design your buyer persona in advance. So you know what is your target. Hit your target is the only way to get money from podcasting. The other are bullshit. So many starts from their passions or from they know. For example, I know to play chess, so I will make a podcast about chess. Okay, it's good. You can start like this, but then you can realize that if your passion is subbuteo, it's really difficult to find an audience that pay for your podcast. And then another mistake that podcaster made, they don't think about all the digital properties that they have. So they play only to make money from the podcast. In reality, money are coming from different sources like website, social media, newsletter, subscribers, and so on. So you have to think strategically from all the sources that you have. So is it okay if you want to make some question or highlight something? Okay, I can check the chat and I can answer you. So in any case, to monetize, we need an audience, and we have to work about this. Without audience, no podcast, no money. So what are the features of the podcast that is able to monetize? Okay, if you make it like an hobby, you are independent by the results. So independent of the project outcome, you make it for passion. That is great. It's a leisure activity you make in the free time. If you want to become pro and you want to play in A series, you have to work to expand your audience day by day. You make podcasting for profit. Podcasting is a part of your business plan, is not the only one, and you have to do the business plan. So frankly speaking, I listen a lot of people that say, oh, I'm not able to make money. Yes, but did you plan it? No. It's common, and you have to have a relevant audience. To monetize your podcast, you need a relevant audience and engage with this audience. You have to know your audience. You have to be patient because Rome wasn't built in a day, and you have to find the right partner and choose the right way to monetize, because not all ways to monetize are equal. And you have to promote. You have to reach your audience. So Uh, this is not the case to make the entire workflow, to present to you the entire workflow that I'm making with my solo podcast. Because I have a website to maintain, a newsletter, I have content repurposing on several places. I make SEO podcast, I make SEO on my website, I publish on the platform, I make advertising, I have marketing automation tool to support me, because otherwise on Telegram and another chatbot. Without them, I will not able to succeed. And I have just one highlight. I have a tool called Post Picker that mostly of you will don't know. I put the link there, merita.biz/pp. You go to Post Picker. It's an Italian tool that recently has been translated in English, and you can check it out. I am able to automatize my presence, my podcast promotion on social media pretty well. I made a video about this, so if you want more information about this, you can write me and I will take care of you. But all of these activity are nothing without cheerleading your community. You have to become the hero of your community, and you have to become the leader of your community. So without a community really engaged, no money at all. So let's go deep inside the monetization. You have a lot of place to monetize in your podcast and a lot of way to monetize. You have sponsorship, so it does mean advertising, branded content, like product placement, or try to sell um, something to your podcast from your podcast. You have to, sorry, I will drink. Thank you, Sabrina. Thank you so much. Selling product services, you can make affiliate marketing that's passive income. If you know Pat Flynn, it's better you go there, because I am not really able to make those number. Paid speaking, yes, they pay me for to speak. It's incredible. Donation, like crowdfunding or content licensing, and podcasting skill. We will see, and we will drill down every single topic. So let's start from advertising. Advertising are not the one you see in the TV, or at least you can make advertising like this, and they pay peanuts. It is not really useful for the advertiser, and your audience will be bored pretty soon. You can make a mention where you are talking about the product or the service, and you promote inside your show. So advertising or supporting will become a part of your show that is pretty interesting, because you use your authority to your audience, and you can get a lot of interaction. Frankly speaking, it's a great way. Or you can have a sponsorship. That, I mean, it's a little bit different from the advertising. The advertising, you will run a spot inside your show, but sponsorship, you will get paid to make a series about something. For example, Coinbase can pay you to make a series about Bitcoin. Just an example. So, talking about advertising, there are at least three ways to make your advertising creating cash flow for you. There are millions of dollars in advertising in US. It's not like this in Italy. I'm sorry. I'm I am very happy to see those trends. Yes, it's great, but when I am talking about my market, sorry, those numbers are bullshit. So I have to think something else. If I want to get money and I want to have somebody is looking for sponsor for me, I need a network. So network request exclusivity. You have to negotiate your freedom to speech, and it's not so easy to be accepted, especially if you are a beginner or if you are in a market like Italy. I'm I'm pretty shy to show you this, because you are probably seasoned podcaster. So just because if somebody see this video, you can put advertising in this section of your episodes, just to explain to them how the way are working. You can sell a single advertising on a single episode, a certain number of impression, 10,000, 100,000. time frames, for example, Christmas holidays, Eastern holidays, Hanukkah, Ramadan, and so on, or localized advertising. If you are talking about Rome tourist guide or traveling in Rome, you can take your audience to pay attention to advertising just related to Rome. But if you have a tons of listener, maybe you can become rich. And this is a topic that is not so easy to take care of, because a lot of people think that they can make money, real big money, because they are able to see video on YouTube with banknotes and people that became rich in one day. So is not the case. Becoming rich with podcasting is a tough work, and it's not easy at all to do, because there is a model that is related to radio that is by CPM. It's Italian, it's costo per mille. It's, by the way, it's an Italian sentence inside inside this. It's good. You have to receive money every 1,000 listener. So as you can see on inside of the blog of John Lee Dumas, there are some numbers, and those are the numbers. Pre-roll for 1,000 listeners is $18 and so on. So it's tough to become rich with those numbers, but you have to check deeply, and you will see that the numbers are far away lower. For example, here you can see it's like a stock market for advertising in CPM, and you can see that the numbers are not so good. For example, you can use this calculator to see if your show is working well and if you can earn money from your show from advertising. But if I put inside my show, and if I put inside all my listeners, that my audience is pretty huge in Italy, or I mean, it's an average mid-size podcast. Okay, I cannot live up from podcasting. Frankly speaking, I cannot live. But those numbers doesn't count the cost of production, the cost of intermediation, and the taxes, and even the cost of the exchange, because you have usually those numbers in dollars and you have to pay in euro in Italy if you want to buy food or something else for you. Even more, they pay you on PayPal, and PayPal take his commission. So those numbers at the end of the story are very low. Just to make the story short, an average Italian podcast in the business section is around is less than 1,000 listeners for episodes. So it does mean that if the numbers I found online are good, you can have $40 per episode. It's not true, because you have to pay taxes that are in Italy 65%. You have to pay exchange rate. You have to pay the platform, and you have to divide with the platform the revenue. So at the end is not the case. I want to show you this Spreaker that is born in Italy. I know Spreaker since the time then when their logo was green. So really since the beginning, and they did a great and amazing job. They did really a great and amazing job. They are the market leader. They are dominating the market in Italy as the platform, and they are using to just now they released the platform to make money with advertising. What they are doing, they collecting advertiser, they generate impression, and they match with the slots that you provide with your podcast. So you can set pre-roll, mid-roll, whatever you want to roll, and they will fill with appropriate advertising. They said mixing the intent of the podcast, so the meaning or the topic of your podcast with the topic and the market of the advertiser. So in my experience, I tested for 10 days, pre-roll and post-roll. Impression rate ran from 0.41% to 5.56%, and the results is 24 cents dollars. that I have to pay taxes and PayPal fees because they pay me on PayPal and exchange rate. So, frankly speaking, the market is not ready right now because the platform is ready, but we have a lack of advertiser. Nobody at the moment. We are filling the we are they are Spreaker is populating the advertising scenario, but today we are not able to fill the slot available on the podcast with the proper advertising, and so for the moment is a no way. You cannot live with 24 cents. So CPM is huge number. How we can contact Giorgio? I will on the on the bottom left of the presentation. You are my account, and if you want, you can really write me an email at giorgio@merita.biz. But later on, you will see my email. So if you have any question, I am looking the chat box, and if you want to make any question, I am able to reply. Anyway, you are David against Goliath. It's not possible. Huge number for CPM. So, who is successful in advertising? Yes, famous YouTuber that is recycling videos. They convert videos into podcast and they are able to earn money. Celebrities in general. Internet is a place where if you are already famous, everything is working pretty well and easily for you. Podcaster with a huge audience somewhere else. For example, I have 1 million follower on Twitter and I moved then into the podcast show. And frankly speaking, frequent show are able to gain more because if I made one episode of 30 minutes a week, if I have 5 episodes of 5 minutes, I can double or multiply the numbers of the opportunity. So this is easy. By the way, disclaimer: advertising shapes your show and even your audience. So it's important to see this. Advertising change you because you change the frequency of your show. You change your show to get space for the advertising, and at the moment there is a moment that you realize that the more you have listeners, the more you get paid. So it does mean that at the end of the story, who will have the biggest audience will get the biggest money. So if you think who will has the biggest audience between America's Next Top Model and Cosmos, or in Italy there is Temptation Island versus some interesting science programs, TV programs. Okay, you know, Temptation Island or Next American Top Model will hit the records. You will have tons of listeners that are just want to look nice girls and maybe look for naked girls or talking about fight in politics because the more audience you get, the more money you are making. So it's really, really, really easy to change the shape of your show to get more money. And I don't know if you want this. Okay. So CPM and advertising are on the same place, on the same play field, but they are completely different sports. Big numbers are different is niche numbers. So if you do not have an audience that give you the chance to make money, you are not. Don't worry. There are ways because I have not this kind of audience and I am able to survive. So I will tell you how. Niche audience. Niche audience because there are companies that are looking for listeners, but not general listeners. Nobody care about the audience of Ofra, for example. Yes, maybe Coca-Cola, maybe huge company, but there are a lot of companies that are looking for really niche audience because it's difficult. I will show you example later. And even more, crowded podcasts are not so effective, effective in what I can say, the return of the investment. So sponsors are looking for you. Sponsors are looking for specific audience. So your mantra will be, who do I want to extract the money from? Extract the money from. Not your passion, not your love, not your hobby. What are they looking for? Who they want to reach? Who the advertiser want to reach? So those are your mantra. You have to repeat them. So podcast about my hobby, forget it. It's dangerous. Is dangerous. And if you want to sell your podcast, it's a sales activity. You have to sell your podcast, and it will be hard. Make you an example. I have a pretty decent reputation in CRM. I'm contacting the CRM company and say, oh, I have 16, 17,000 listener by months, and I'm talking about digital transformation. I did several episode about CRM. Do you want to advertise in my podcast? And everyone said, oh, it's amazing. We have budget for podcast. And I said, yes. Oh, it's amazing because you reach the exact audience we want. Yeah, it's perfect. I'm sorry, Italy sucks. We don't want for policy to invest in your country. Please change the language of your podcast and try later. So mostly of the time, I fail. So I have to think that in 10, one will buy something from me. But it's a sales activity. So it's a sales activity with a meaning. So if I have a podcast about digital transformation and digital something, I cannot ask to kindergarten play constructor to advertise. I have to find the right sponsor. So I have not to waste my time with things that are not related to my audience. And I have to be prepared. I prepared a PDF that is really huge with all the information about my podcast, information about my audience, the value added by my content, the audience engagement, and the growth of my business, because nobody wants to attach his brand to a fail company. I want to explain the educational content that I made and my ethics. I can show a positive buzz about me, info about my digital properties, number of my website that are growing, and so on. And I can show a relationship with other sponsor and other VIP, and also the suggestion to grow their business with my show. And I prepare this with attention to highlight the VIP that I interviewed, the number of the review and what they are saying, and the growth of my show. So I think it's really important to prepare this document, because otherwise they are not able to give you money, because you are not giving them reason to decide. Maybe they say, oh, you are nice, but you have to give them also reason. And even in this like playbook, I will add numbers that are relevant to the podcast advertising scenario, because otherwise they said, okay, you are nice, but is related to me this kind of investment, so I will support their decision with data. Okay, you get sponsor? Yeah, yes, I get several sponsor. Later on, I will show you some one of them. So yes, here is the answer. There are many others. There are many others. Frankly speaking, I sold one episode for 500 euro, and the maximum results I get 2,000 euro for one episode. So I know that those numbers are crazy for mostly of you, but it's the result of several failure making phone calls and making discussion with potential customers. So frankly speaking, I can tell you it's an hard job. So I'm pretty sure, where do you find your sponsors? Okay, if you are an expert in your topic, in your market, you know where to find the sponsor. I cannot help you because I am not aware about all the sponsor in the world. So if you have no idea, go to request sponsorship for a sponsor of similar podcast. You can go and check the discount website, and you can go and lead generation tool, for example, Leadberry, to see who is looking at your website, and maybe you can call them to get the sponsorship. So you can make also a branded podcast. This is the fairy tales of the podcast scenario now in Italy, because somebody told that in Italy you can get 10, 25k euro to produce a series. It's very nice. Things like KLM, it's fantastic. It's amazing. Yes. By the way, at the moment, the only podcast is the last one, the green one, Colazione di Lavoro, and it's a podcast that I personally did. It's my podcast, so there are no Italian branded podcast at the moment, but there is a question behind this, and this is a very tough question. Why all the previous podcasts that you show did only one series? It's a very difficult answer. Why they invest a lot of money in US and they made one series only? Is it worth the case? I don't know. The most important thing you have to sell also is to sell product and services to your podcast. If you want to start, this is the starting point. You can sell ebooks, info product, training and courses, membership and support, physical products, software, coaching, consulting services, mastermind, and live show. In US, they are able to sell ticket to live show because people, your audience, want to see you. So you have plenty opportunities. The only things that you have to understand is that if you want to sell a product, you will not succeed. You have to sell an ecosystem of products. You have to sell books, training, info product, and whatever, physical products. Sorry, I want to drink. Because otherwise, it will be very, very tough to sell just one thing. Because at the end of the story, your audience will be saturated. So the podcasts that monetize are specific. This podcast is connected to business, not to something else. Every single aspect is optimized to reach a specific audience. There are call to action. There are call to action present. I'm shy to ask. You will. It is better that you are not shy. It's able to generate a community, and the host of the podcast is the leader of the tribe. You can make affiliate marketing. I want to explain to the people that doesn't know what is affiliate marketing. You create a link. If the people purchase from your link, you get a commission. It's very, very simple. There are a lot of network making this. You can really succeed with one of these and to find the right product to your audience. You can create something like Beatly to track the return of the investment from every call to action. For example, every time I made a call to action, I have one unique link and I check the click on the link. So I really know what's call to action is working and why, and the one is not working. So I advise you that it's better to track the performance. So, how to promote affiliate marketing products? Interview with the inventor or with the author, interview with the happy customer, make your own review of the product or the service, share a few tips and tricks about the topic, record a promo and use it on the slot you are not able to sell, promote a page with affiliate links, of course, and like the page Pat Flynn has, like resources, no? It's pretty easy, and use the show notes. Nobody use the show notes. Just few podcaster use the show notes, but show notes are pretty decent vehicle for your advertising. Anyway, paid speaking. You cannot believe I'm starting my podcast and people pay me to speak in their events. It's crazy. It's crazy, but it's true. So you can do the same. You collect an audience, you show your authority, and you will get will get the call to make a speech in an event, and you can be paid 2,000 euro, for example. That is not bad. There is a question: how do you sell on your podcast? Without I talk about products that I am able to review because used. So the important part is the selection. I am not asking to any to everybody to advertise. I make a very deep selection, and if I am not able to find the right partner, I prefer to avoid to take the deal. So it's not ethical. It's just a matter of business. If the audience is not aligned, you are wasting your time. You are waste the money of the advertising. You get bad reputation, and bad reputation doesn't pay a lot. So it's not ethical problem. It's a business matter. So last but not least is crowdfunding, patronage, crowdfunding, Salm 2.0 collection. I have a very unpolite opinion of this kind of way. I will explain you why. Because mostly of the people make like donation, like begging outside of the church of the or a temple. Buy me a coffee, buy me a beer, buy me a pizza, buy me something else, make an offer. I don't want to beg. Frankly speaking, I don't want to beg. I don't need to beg. I am a professional podcaster, so I have to maintain my business professional. So there are a lot of platforms that are able to help you. Patreon is the most famous one, but there are others. What is crowdfunding? Yes, people help you to go further with your project at the end, and giving you money, of course. Most people said, I have a lot of followers and I can use crowdfunding. It's not true. Followers are not crowdsourcing, crowdfunding is selling. You need a very engaged community, a loyal community, an email listing target, a tax expert, because it's tricky. I will show you some example later. In Italy, it's very difficult, and a clear and appealing reward policy. So there are pros and cons. Of course, there is a great engagement with the audience. Patrons are the producer of the show, active participation of the listener in the show creation. This is really powerful to the success of your show. Uh, and goodies for your audience, the reward, for example, t-shirt or mugs or something like that, they can make your brand stronger. It's a matter of brand awareness. But there are some cons. There are listeners that are not used to this way. So in Italy, we are not aware about podcasting. Do you think we are aware about crowdsourcing or crowdfunding? I don't think so. The rewarding is not easy to manage. I will tell you why. Because, for example, in Italy, you cannot give services or products in exchange to an offer. So it does mean that you cannot make, for example, give me an offer and I will do your website. It's not legal. This is transform it not in an offer, but in a job. And this is treated differently. So it's very tricky. And I, frankly speaking, personally, I don't want to go inside this kind of topic because it's too complicated. I don't know if the platform are able to manage the Italian taxation request. So if I don't know if they are able to fulfill my request, my account manager is not so happy if I talk about crowdfunding, and commission for the platforms are getting higher and higher. So I am fed up to listen people say, Patreon rise the commission. So at the end, it's a business game, and you have to be prepared. My personal vision, I said, my personal vision is, yeah, I would like to use Patreon to engage with my audience. It's a dream for me. It's incredibly funny and useful. I'd like to use Patreon because I can release premium content for the most engaged audience. So it's interesting. I'd like to use Patreon to have a regular stream of income. But my positioning in consulting is more related to high-end customers. Corporations in Europe are not culturally prepared to see me living on alms. It's like to make gourmet food versus tavern food. Maybe tavern is great. It's a family tavern and the food is great, but has not the same price. So it's a product placement. Giorgio is a product. My consulting services are the product, and I don't want to be in the last discount supermarket. I want to be in a very gourmet street local food. Even more Italians are not used to donate. They are more used to search ways to fuck the system. Frankly speaking, sorry for the profanity, but it's true. It's true for a million of reasons that I can tell you later. This is not the right topic to for this show. But anyway, other podcasters are not doing so well in Italy, and I don't want problem with legislation and tax officer. Let's do like this. Those are few podcasters in Italy that are using Patreon. I cannot survive with 22, $14. Okay, there is one that is very good. It's amazing how he treats his audience, but from June, he decreased his income by 28.4% because it's difficult to maintain high number on Patreon. So frankly speaking, except one, only one, the other are, I think, wasting their time because $1, one Patreon, frankly speaking, I don't want my customer see how many people are paying him, one or two or five. I don't want to ruin my reputation. Even more, content on license. You can make a content and you have to be paid to get the content you have right. For example, premium content, you can have membership card, you can get the access to your platform only for paying members. For example, a lot of Italian journalists are paid to create series like this. So it's working. And if you are able to make a good show, maybe they transform it in a movie or in a TV series. So you will get paid by this. Another way, the last one, to be paid is using your podcaster skill. What I mean, if you are able to make podcast, there are a lot of people that want to start their podcast, but they are not able. So you can make podcast coach. You can make audio editing. Can help them to produce their show, and you can be paid. So you can go to Upwork, people per hour, freelancer, Fiverr, whatever you want, and you can sell your stuff. So those are the way I explore to earn money by my show in a very very underdeveloped country. Last year I did up to 10,000 euro. Yes, euro. It is not bad. You cannot survive making only this. So, frankly speaking, I survive selling my consultancy services and with other companies that I'm working for, not with podcasting. But podcasting is not an investment anymore. There is a cash flow that are entering in my bank account from the podcast. So I'm not satisfied. I think that the audience in general of the podcaster is an audience that is not able to pay a lot for services. So it's a very cheap oriented audience. But anyway, it's not a live cost. It's not a cost. I gaining something. So this is all. And now I would like to take a few minutes for the answer to answer to your question and to ask you if everything is okay. I will move back. I will move back to 1 second. Okay. 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 I will close. Okay. I think I am back, right? So if you have any question, I will check the chat box. Oh, thank you, Sabrina. Thank you, Sabrina. Thank you so much. Question about paid speak. If you are called for a meetup to speak for free, it depends. It depends. Every one of us start with with free unpaid speaking because you have to be visible. It's not a shame if you accept to go there without a commission, but you have to study carefully where to go. You have to study where to go because if you have to sustain the expenses of your travel, if you have to sustain the time that is a cost to prepare the slides, okay, you want to invest carefully your money, not the last meetup with the 3 people, but maybe the nice event with 200 people where you bring with you your friend that are able to make great pictures. It is not a professional, but is make great picture, to use those picture inside your website to attract other show and events manager to you. So it's like an investment. I think is clear. It's an investment. You have to invest. If you do not get paid, you have to invest carefully. Uh, okay. The freemium. Okay, it's not easy because it depends from your show. For example, imagine to create an environment like Harry Potter. Harry Potter is amazing because maybe you can make a stream that is free, and you can make fork with other how would they say, the protagonist, other people, other actors, or maybe the guy in the movie. I forget. Sorry. You can make a podcast, on paid podcast, for one protagonist, making his own story away from the free one, and get paid to continue the story of a guy that you met in one episode, for example. You can you can create you can create an environment, and you sell maybe one episode per week of the story of a city, and several episodes a week for the people that you encounter. What is the story of the protagonist of the free series? You can pay to get the answer. So there are plenty way of making this. Grazie, Germano. You are very nice. There are other questions. Selling yourself to a potential sponsor. Okay, selling yourself to a potential sponsor is very tough because you have to sell, and if you are not able to sell, it's difficult to succeed. But you have to take it in business mode. Mostly of the other podcasters said, I do this for hobby, it's nice, I have collected an audience. No, it's a matter of business. It's a part of your business line. It's an asset for your business. You make it for business, and the people rely on this, so they are able to get money to you, because it's a matter of trust. This is the advice that I can give you, but learn to sell. It's a life. It's long.
Well, Giorgio,
Okay.
I really appreciate you joining our International Podcast Day feed. I think it's pretty interesting as we sit here. It's a complete different mentality from what you were experiencing there in Italy and what we're experiencing here, at least within the United States. And I know it's a few other places where you're having to look at different avenues to monetize. And I really appreciate you bringing all those to the front here.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Well, if there are any more questions, he will join the chat right after here. But
Yes.
I do want to thank you for representing yourself, your podcast, and of course, Italy. It was really exciting to have you on. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And the best regard to the next one is Anna from Poland. So another European. Bye bye.
All right, take care. Thank you, everybody. International Podcast Day 2018. We continue on in a few minutes.